Week seven's in the books, so we're moving on with the mid-major mayhem with the SKI champs bracket, and we're into the finals now for our invitational tournaments. So I'm going to go through and do quick updates on the remaining teams in each of those. I'm really going to speed through the invitational tournaments, not spend too much time there. And then we're also going to do coastal power rankings. It's my conference, 16 teams. That'll be at the end. Didn't get write-ups written out for all of the teams. I'll just talk through it, and we'll compare what the committee, seven other people ranked the coastal, and then I also ranked the coastal, and we'll compare those rankings towards the end. So what I have up first is the SKI Champs bracket. We were in the Elite Eight. We only have 4 teams left, and here is a look at those results. We had North Carolina, who took out Liberty in the previous round in the Elite Eight, or the Sweet 16 rather. They scored 429, which was just enough to beat UCF, who only scored 415. North Carolina into the Final Four of the SKI tournament. Bowling Green only put up 409, but it was enough to take out Colgate, who just last week was ranked number 1 in the Ivy. So Bowling Green, despite losing in conference and dropping in the rankings, survives, one of the final 4 teams now in the SKI Champs. On the other side of the bracket, we had a classic battle, looks like, between Rice and Colorado. So Rice put up 410, Colorado 412. Super close. Colorado advances. They are the number 3 team in the nation now with a total record of 12-2. Still not really getting the efficiency up in a particularly high place, but it's working. And number 1 in the country, Kent State, loses to Hawaii, who then becomes number 1 in the country. So Hawaii, number 4 in points, number 2 in max. The efficiency also not really where it needs to be. Our final 4 seeds in the SKI Champs bracket, number 1, number 3, number 6, and number 13. When you win a lot of games and you survive deep into tournaments, your ranking shoots up, so no surprises there. It'll be interesting to see who can take it home. In many ways, you could say this is a much more impressive feat than March Madness because every single team in the entire league was in this tournament. So it's a major feather in your cap, good for your prestige, gives you a major bonus if you were ever to consider leaving your program and going somewhere else. Anyway, there's the latest on the SKI Champs. Let's look at Mid-Major Mayhem, where we had a big-time upset. Big time. A 12th seed in the Mid-Major Mayhem. Just like you think of a 12 seed kind of always beats a 5 seed, that happened for the Santa Clara Broncos in round 1. In round 2, they beat a fellow 13 seed. But then Santa Clara pulls the crazy upset over the number 2 team in the country and the number 1 seed for any mid-majors, naturally. They beat Liberty, and they're now in the Elite Eight of Mid-Major Mayhem. So congrats to Boogs, if that's how you say it. The rankings suggest that the team really isn't particularly loaded with power, with talent, but they're making the most of it with the 17th best efficiency in the nation. So high-quality picks have propelled them on this miracle Cinderella run, and waiting for them now is the number 18 national ranked team, the Hampton Pirates, from the Coastal, who was able to beat Towson, also from the Coastal, in the other round. Hampton has only lost once the entire year, and it was in, I believe, the finals of the SKI, their original SKI, not the SKI champs. So they're on a heck of a run, and you would assume that this Cinderella story for Santa Clara would probably end, because when you look at the max points, Hampton has the 28th best max points. Santa Clara has the 141st best points. A little bit of a mismatch, but when you look at the efficiency numbers, maybe they'll make it interesting because Santa Clara has elite efficiency and Hampton has pretty poor efficiency. Anyways, it's tournament time. Anything can happen. On the bottom half of the left side, Delaware jumps back into top 25 rank with a win. They're now 14-3 on the season. They are sporting really good points, max, and efficiency for a mid-major team. It's a very formidable team, and they will face another ranked team, Long Beach State. So these are two of the five best mid-major teams kind of the whole season long. They've been in and out of the national rankings. So a really high quality matchup. Based on their max points, they're nearly identical. Delaware has been a little bit more efficient. That efficiency has been slipping as they were, I think, number 2 or 3 in the nation, and now they're down all the way to 45. So two teams that have barely lost the whole season should be an awesome matchup. And then whoever wins, again, likely probably taking on Hampton, another nationally ranked team. So it's good to see some national ranks around in the mid-major ranks. I am facing the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers on the other half of the bracket at the top. It's the 1 versus the 2. We have pretty similar points max. My efficiency has been a little bit better, but it's anyone's game. We're projected very similar numbers so far. And, this is a bit of a weird week. I didn't say anything about it, but a lot of our players only have one game, so you can't control how efficient or not efficient you are when you have literally just the one choice. So it is what it is this week. We're just kind of we have to hope that your player has a great first game because it might be their last game. So anything can really happen this week. But yeah, I'm number 28 nationally, so just out of the national ranks. Western Kentucky is 20. They were able to beat the 17th ranked Pacific Tigers last week. And I beat Indiana State, who, despite not being ranked, was really on a roll and has just a massive max point total of 31, which for a mid-major is pretty impressive. I didn't realize Pacific was putting up this many points. Props to Pacific. They lost, but wow. The 10th highest max points. Frankly, I would not have believed that if I wasn't seeing it right here. Impressive. On the bottom half of the draw, Florida Gulf Coast beat Sam Houston State, and I just happened to notice that they also beat Sam Houston State in the Invitational. Like, that's crazy. So this literal matchup happened twice that exact week. So basically the win was for double the stakes. These two teams were really evenly matched, but this week Florida Gulf Coast really got the better of them. So the 9 seed advances, and he's going to take on a 6 seed, Gonzaga, who upset Presbyterian, another coastal team who was top 25. No more, sadly. So the numbers said that Presbyterian was a very strong favorite there. They were scoring 50 more points per week, even after this matchup. But Gonzaga, hey, tournament time. Like I said, anything can happen. So hats off. Whoever wins out of Florida Gulf Coast and Gonzaga will be an underdog the rest of the way. But hey, they're alive. That's all you can ask for. We're down to the Elite 8 with the Final 4 right around the corner. Looking at the invitational tournaments, I'm not going to spend much time here. I'm just basically going to hit the notes when there's ranked teams. So we've got number 16 Seton Hall up here. Georgia goes down in the first round to Creighton. That's kind of crazy. We've got number 8 Princeton taking on SEMO. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's not SEMO. Oh, that is SEMO. I get confused. There's so many similar teams that I'd never heard of before this league. Western Kentucky, number 20, still alive. Might end up facing number 23, San Diego State, in the final there. Former number 1, Oklahoma State, still going strong. No ranked teams there or here. We have the number 25, Presbyterian, who just lost in the Mid-Major Mayhem. And number 15, Arkansas. You know what I'm realizing just now? These are already into the finals. I'm looking at old data. Just ignore this part. In fact, it's so late and I'm tired. Forget invitational tournaments. We'll talk about it when we have the champions next week. Let's get to the power rankings. I'm going to pause the video real quick. Yeah, this is the perils of having multiple documents that I'm working from. So here is a look at the updated brackets with the next round already done. So we can see number 16 advance to the finals here, Seton Hall. Number 3, Princeton advances to the finals there, where they will take on a fellow Ivy team in Brown. Number 17, Western Kentucky advances, and they do face San Diego State San Diego State, however, is no longer ranked. Oklahoma State goes down to DePaul, who then takes the number 22 seed in the country as a result of the big win. NCA&T is a coastal team, so go coastal. No ranks involved here or here. Presbyterian, like I said, they lost their national ranking in the top 25, but they're still alive, and they're taking on number 11 Arkansas to try to win that. TCU, go Frogs, just in general. That's my school. They advanced despite scoring only 328 points. So good job. Hopefully you can finish the deal. JMU, number 10 nationally, taking on number 24 Pacific, who, like we discussed earlier, scores a ton of points. Both of you guys scored a ton of points. That's going to be a great matchup. We have the number 8 USF South Florida Bulls against UCF, number 7. Wow. Poetic. USF versus UCF, number 8 versus number 7. That's got to be the game of the week. We've got number 6 North Carolina against number 19 Colgate. Two teams that almost met each other in the SKI Champs if Colgate hadn't just gone down. That's going to be a great matchup, I'm sure. No ranked teams there. We got number 2 Davidson, jumped all the way back up to number 2 despite the loss last week. They will be taking on Illinois Chicago, and they will be heavy favorites in that one. Got a ranked matchup here, number 23 Colorado State against number 21 Long Beach State, mid-major team there. That ought to be a great matchup too. Lots of really good matchups here. No ranked teams going on there, or here, or here, or here. Finally, we have a ranked team here, number 4, on and off again, number 1 Kent State, taking on Iowa State, who knocked me out of the tournament in round 1. Darn you. We've got our new number 1, Hawaii, taking on the USI Screaming Eagles. Hampton versus Rice, two quality teams. Hampton being a mid-major in the Coastal. Number 12, Virginia, taking on West Virginia. And Lafayette, the interim coach, making another final. Hopefully they lose to Troy, because I just don't want to see a interim coach, which means the commissioner is controlling the team. I just don't want to see them win a tournament. And Troy just upset the number 3 team in the country, Colorado. It would be a shame to watch them lose to an auto team. So that's where we stand there. Now we'll look quickly at the power rankings. Well, I shouldn't say quickly, but we're going to look at the power rankings. All right, so just to recap, Coastal's a 16-team league. It is one of the mid-majors. It is not a power conference team, so the rosters are more thin than what we looked at last week when we did the Ivy power rankings. I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up. These are sorted in the rankings that the committee put forth. So that 7-person committee this week who looked at the Coastal ranked every team 16-1. I'm sorting this list by their rankings. I will have my rankings listed side by side, and we'll just talk through the differences if there are any. I did not get a chance to write more than 2 or 3 of the write-ups, which I did last week. I will write the write-ups in here. I will make this document viewable. I haven't done it yet, but I will. So I'll have a write-up in there eventually, but I don't have time. I'm not going to have a great window to do a video tomorrow, and so I'm knocking it out while I have the opportunity. And I just can't stay up all night to write the rest of these, so I'm sorry. So starting at number 16, according to the committee, we have the Northeastern Huskies. So when you look at their team, you see Trae Young, Jalen Williams, Siakam, Keegan Murray, who's had a really nice year, Okongwu, Christian Brown, PJ Washington, Miles Turner, Tobias Harris. It doesn't really sound like the worst team in a conference, so maybe a little bit of tough luck. I will say our conference is pretty well balanced. There isn't any one team that's just running away from the pack. We have a couple different tiers, but within those tiers, teams are pretty tight. So it really is opinion on kind of which team comp do you like best, which package of players do you like best. But a lot of these teams are very close together, around the same level. When you compare the starting 9's point totals, currently their averages from this season, it only adds up to 351, which is one of the lowest totals in the conference. So I think that's probably where the lower ranking comes from, even though you traditionally would say that Trae Young is going to score more than 38 points a game. I think some people are looking at Jalen Williams like maybe he's going to start scoring more than 46 a game. I think Okongwu, frankly, people may have expected that to be a little bit higher than 40.9 with being unleashed a little bit more. No Capella around to kind of hog up 20 minutes a game annoyingly. So anyway, has all of his draft capital. It just isn't like a wow team. The efficiency has been really bad, fourth worst in the nation. The point total has been bottom 15. No, the point total has been fourth worst in the nation. The max has been the bottom 15 in the nation. I think when you're staring at these numbers up here, it's just hard not to rank them near the bottom, even if you would look at the top five and say, like, yeah, that's not the worst, you know. Tied, I believe, for the worst ranking from the committee is Monmouth. I had the Huskies here at 13, not 16, and I had Monmouth at 14, not 15. Monmouth has extra draft capital, a couple extra firsts, I believe. So there's that. That's a very big positive thing for them. They have leaned extremely young. Their average age is only 24.3. And when you look at the roster, they have Edgecombe, Derek Queen, Jalen Johnson, Jalen Suggs, Zach Edey. A lot of those dudes are young. Jaron Jackson, still pretty young. Jeremiah Fears down there, Jalen Green. So a very young team with draft capital to spend and a poor record to probably indicate we're going to have a top 3 pick or 4 pick, whatever it is that has that lottery. So I think Monmouth is clearly playing the long game, but their points are suffering and they're just not competitive right now. But I see the vision, and in a league where you can't be relegated, it is an intriguing strategy if you are patient enough to wait it out and eventually have these guys hitting their stride together. It's compelling. So if he's adding the number 1 pick in the draft this year and then another first round pick somewhere in the middle, this team may start to take form here in about 1 to 2 years, and we may look at it very differently. For now, more or less kind of a turnstile, like an easy win on the schedule. But I see what Shore is going for. This is the biggest discrepancy on either the Ivy or the Coastal for me so far. This team is ranked 14th by the committee. It came out to an average of 13.3, which was the 14th worst. I had this team at 9. I personally choose to look at a team factoring in people that are hurt, because to me, power rankings are not just about who will win the title this year. If they were, I would just sort the list by points, and then that'd be my list. But when I see Deontay and Van Vliet on the injured reserve, and Halliburton. When I see Halliburton, Deontay, and Van Vliet on the IR, that obviously matters. If I'm choosing which of these teams do I want to take over, which of these would I be more comfortable assuming, this is not a bad team. Between Halliburton, Deontay, obviously Oubre is a bad small forward. That's not a great small forward. We have Brandon Miller, who you would think should be better than Oubre, and will be, I think. I'm starting to lose a little bit of faith in Brandon Miller, though, I will say. Like, why is Con Knipple coming in and already looking like a stud, and Brandon Miller can't do that? Just a thought. Kello Ware, Wemby, Stephen Castle, Sadiq Bey's had a nice year. I'm not really, no one should be banking on Sadiq Bey as part of their team, but there's a nice core here. And the efficiency's been terrible. The points have been terrible. Okay, but you haven't had Halliburton, Deontay, or Van Vliet. If you factor them in, I think this team has real appeal. And going into next season, I would expect an incredibly big change. Obviously, when you're looking at those 3 players coming back as healthy, the points are going to be drastically different. So frankly, I kind of throw out their numbers. I ranked them 9th because I just feel like it's obvious they have the core to do better next year. We'll see if they supplement with any extra draft picks and sell off anyone old. They don't really have anyone old. Anyway, I am much higher than the committee is on the Hofstra Pride. Next is the NC Wilmington Seahawks. Committee ranked them 13.1, so just ahead of Hofstra. I have them down at 15. I still haven't said my 16th ranked team, so we had a big discrepancy there too. He went really young. Eamon Thompson, Trey Murphy, Franz, Klingon, Reed Shepard, I think might have been his 5th round pick. So the goal was to go really young. I think the problem is they're just not scoring points. I think everyone here has been healthy except for Franz now in the last couple days, and the points just aren't there. Amon has definitely not been, he didn't take a leap. Trey Murphy was his third round pick, I think, and he's been good, not elite. Franz has been good, but not really elite. I mean, he's been pretty good, but I think there are some people who are still holding out hope that Franz has another level to reach. I'm kind of skeptical of that, honestly. I know there's some people who just love him, but I'm a little concerned that this is just where he's gonna be. I mean, he's 24. Anyway, this isn't a Franz show, but anyways, I just don't think this team has the top end talent to really push anyone in any sort of meaningful, sustained way. Amon, Trey, and Franz could level up some. Amon could definitely level up, I think, a lot. Trey and Franz, I kind of question whether there's really a whole lot more there. Again, that's a very relative term. I'm not literally saying like they can't get better. I'm not an NBA scout or expert. I just don't know fantasy wise if you're ever going to get to count on those guys to score you 7 or 8 more points per game than they're doing currently, which would represent a pretty big leap. Whereas Amon will average 55 points for a season, I bet you, in fantasy at some point. He's going to figure out that offense. I still have a lot of faith in him. Anyways, don't love the team. I think it's a little bit overrated. That's just how I feel. Next on the list, this is the team that I have to put at 16. One of the best owners we've got, Dirty Bird, love him. But the points have been really low. And when you not only have the points been low, this is not the worst average points, but when you look at the roster, the actual points average of all of the players is much lower than anybody else in the conference. So even though he has literally scored more points, I believe it to be just really good game pick, and the talent that is on the team looks worse per game than everybody else's. So he's a super young team, the youngest in the league. I think it's the youngest across either of the two conferences that we've reviewed so far. 22.8 is the average age. I mean, that's absurdly young. So he isn't trying to compete right now. He's picked up an extra first round pick already. There's definitely room for some improvement between Khan, Cedric Coward, Asar, Jalen Duren. Even Gillespie's had a really awesome run this year. Jalen Tyson's had a really awesome run this year. Pajemski, I'm starting to kind of lose some hope with him. And Scoot, I'm not really sure if when he gets back there's going to be a sizable chunk of usage for him, but Portland certainly hasn't given up on him yet. You even got Koulibaly on the bench, Tari Eason. So lots of young guys, draft picks, multiple firsts coming up the next year. This is going to take a few years, but I do see the vision. But for now, I have to say the production is so low. There isn't anyone that threatens to be like an immediate superstar, except for maybe Duren or Hero, I suppose. So for me, it's probably the 16th ranked team, but I see where they're headed. Next is Towson. Average ranking was 10.8. I had them at the 12th rank, so I was a little lower on Towson than the committee. They have LaMelo Ball, Ryan Rollins, Zion, Chet, Walker Kessler. Just that right there. Ball, Zion, Chet, and Kessler. You're not getting a whole lot of games out of any of them, unfortunately. And Ryan Rollins, he has Kevin Porter as well. And Ryan Rollins, Kevin Porter, one of them looks like a great option right now. When they're both on the court, pretty much it looks like Porter's just fine, but Rollins kind of maybe is diminished a little bit. They're just a little bit redundant. He has Devin Vassell, Shaden Sharp, Darius Garland. A really nice young team. Like there are guys on there that every team would love to have, but maybe not have to rely on. So I think that there's just a lot of teams that are really neck and neck. I don't personally dislike Towson's team. They just have a lot of young guys, and none of them have really hit a big peak yet. There isn't a 50-point per game scorer when we're talking about the average points for this season. So, yeah, I think this team definitely has potential. I think the problem, part of the reason that the ranking's a little bit lower for me, is that they're already spent their first round pick for this year. So they will not be getting another first round talent adding on to this core. So this core is pretty much what we're going to see next year too. And I am not sure that it's fair to expect enough of a points jump for this team to realistically contend immediately again next year. So we're looking a couple years down the road, unless there's a few moves that come in that really change the outlook. That's part of why I feel like I'm ranking them on the lower end. Next is Albany. They have Mobley, Randall, Booker, Miles Bridges, Desmond Bain. Sounds like a pretty good starting five. I think that pretty much was why I have them ranked ahead of Towson, for example, is just a little bit more proven star-like talent when you look at the top three, especially Mobley, Randall, Booker. So the team is 27 years old on average. That's not really old. That's not really young. They have all their standard draft picks. Their efficiency, points, and max have not really been very good. They did inherit this team. They were actually the third owner this year on this team. So this is actually not the name of the owner anymore, I'm pretty sure. So I need to change that in all my databases. But anyway, not a whole lot to say about this team. They're 4-10 currently. That doesn't feel fair to them. I feel like this team isn't that bad, but it's also not great. So I think 11 makes sense. That's about where I had them. The 10th ranked team is the Elon Phoenix. They have Brunson, Ant, Keontae George, Kristaps Zubac, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's having a nice breakout season, OG, Adams, and Black, who's also had a pretty nice season. That 9 is pretty good. I mean, I like it, and they've been efficient. The problem is, even with what I consider to be a pretty good starting 9 and a really efficient start to the season, the points are still 123rd. The max is still 140th. So even though I like some of those names, they feel like legitimate startable players in fantasy. The points don't say the points beg to differ basically. So 363 points when you take the averages of all the starting 9. That is just not a competitive number. Now we're mid-majors, so you're not going to compete with power conference teams very often as a mid-major. But even amongst our conference, that's a very middle of the road, maybe on the lower side. So I think I like this core a little bit better than the previous teams. And 1 through 9 is usable talent that I would personally like to have, every single one of those 9 guys. So it felt like a little bit of a stronger team for me personally. The committee seemed to agree. And yet there's still issues there. I think this is where we kind of pass a threshold. I'm much more into the top 8 than the bottom 8. I mean, I guess go figure. That's how it always works when you're doing power rankings. The Charleston Cougars, I love Olave, has Shea. He just traded for Tatum and got a first in the same deal. So now he has Shea, Hart, Tatum, Denny, Jabari Smith, Matas Buzelis is down there, AJ Mitchell, Kalkbrenner, Jamal Shed even is kind of interesting. He had a really nice game yesterday, or at least he was hitting some threes. I just think when you have Shea, Tatum, and Denny looks like he has the reins. I don't know when Scoot comes back, when Drew's healthy, maybe the shot diet goes down a little bit, but I don't think so. I mean, he's kind of their guy right now. So those 3 guys, it's a nice place to be. A really young team, they have acquired an extra first, like I said. So the point total, for example, this starting 9 has more point total projections than Elon, than Towson, some of the teams just below. So they're younger. They have a little bit more points. They have some surplus draft capital. I believe this owner is very high quality. And the efficiency has sucked. So if they would just pick better games, they don't have Tatum right now. So that doesn't, their point total reflects that, I suppose. But I just think that the potential here is obvious. I think they're going to be good quickly. Next year, they're going to be probably one of the 5 best teams. And so the arrow's pointed way up for them. Won't be surprised if they are in contention to win the conference 2 years from now. Maybe next year too, though I do sort of doubt I doubt they're going to leverage a lot of these young guys. to try to go get some old stud, which would really be the key to upping that point total. But we'll see next year what they want to do. The committee had Drexel as the seventh best team in the conference. I have them at five. I may have a soft spot for old teams with a lot of potential. It's kind of how I am built. So it's probably just beauties in the eye of the beholder. But I have Drexel at fifth because their projected point total, when you look at the average of their best nine players, it's just higher than everyone else's, except for mine and William and Mary. So with 402.3 points on average from their team, I would say that he has really underperformed. The actual point total average he has is 384. If you look at the average of his best nine players, it would be 402. So that would tell me that he's just not picking the right games. He's 97th in efficiency, so that would support that. I will say, at 34.2 years of age on average, this is the oldest team of either conference, even older than American, I do believe. This is an old-ass team. Harden, Kyrie, Kevin Durant, AD, Gobert, Curry, Norm Powell, Russell Westbrook, Jeremy Grant, with DeMar DeRozan, Draymond Green, Andre Drummond on the bench as his best three guys. I mean, it couldn't, frankly, get much older. So that's obviously not ideal. This is clearly a team built to try to win now and capitalize on a short window to get promoted and get the heck out of here and let someone else figure out how to unpackage all the olds and start building for the future. Hasn't worked out that way so far. He's 6-8 overall, 3-4 in the conference. So it's going to be interesting to see what Klepto King does as we move forward. But I still think that there's potential for this team to beat anyone on any given week when we're talking about the mid-majors. So if he was to go on a run and win the Coastal, I frankly wouldn't be completely shocked. He's on the short list of legitimate people who could go on a run to win. All it takes is every one of these guys to be healthy and actually playing, and I sure as heck wouldn't want to play him. So the 66th best max is a pretty nice number for a mid-major team. So I think we've frankly seen an unlucky team here. I expect him to be more dangerous as the season goes on. I won't be surprised if the record leans over 500, and they are a dangerous team come tournament time, as long as they're healthy. And if Kyrie comes back, obviously that helps a lot. Next is Presbyterian. Committee had them at 5. I have them at 6. They have De'Aaron Fox, Quickly, Markkanen, Giannis, Hartenstein, Morant, Wiggins, Reed, and DiVincenzo. So their point total comes out to 383 if you take the average of all their players. The reason I have them below Drexel is just because that's a 20-point difference, and I think Drexel's just a lot more dangerous on a week-to-week basis. Both teams have the full complement of picks. So, and Presbyterian, although they do score some points, they are a little bit injury-prone. Lowry, whether he's actually injury-prone or whether Utah just keeps him out so they'll lose, he hasn't played tons of games. Ja has missed a lot of time. Nas's numbers should be in here. I'm not really sure why they're not. I think that would actually boost those numbers a little bit. Anyways, I like the core. I think that they're a good-looking team. They're not nearly as old as Drexel, but again, the point total is just a lot less, and the bench for Drexel is much better too. To have DeMar at 34.5 as a bench piece is pretty nice. That's probably the best bench player, the best 10th man, if you will, in the Coastal. So the efficiency has been nuts for Presbyterian. It's helped sustain them, even though they've been 91st in max points, which is not a particularly good number. So I think there's potential for them to fall down a little bit. They're 11-4 right now. I do not expect them to maintain that pace, and that's part of why I think I put Drexel ahead of them. But don't get me wrong, I like this core. I think this is a good team, and they beat me. So I'm not saying that this is not a good team. I'm just trying to justify why I would have Drexel ahead of them. Sorry, Ground Cub, to put you down at 7. The committee said that you were the 5th best team. I feel like when I compare you and Drexel, you're 15 points back in points. You're much younger, but you're still really old. You're both so old that all I can think of is just old. It is true that Drexel's way older, and that should matter, but I think that the difference in age is not as big of a deal as the difference in points. So I put them at 5, Presbyterian at 6, and you at 7. I think the three of you are super close, and there isn't really a big gap between you, but that's just the way it came down. I hadn't noticed this until now. You have the most best picks in the entire country, 31 of them, to 12 worst. That's really impressive. Frankly, it almost makes me feel like your 26th ranked efficiency is you've been really kind of unlucky not to be better when you've had the most right picks. Your team really worries me with LeBron. Just in Dynasty, getting off of LeBron before he retires is a pretty big deal, I think. I've seen some LeBron trades across the mesh that have been pretty cheap because people just aren't willing to invest something significant for a guy that's probably going to retire, or if not this year, then next. I think you took him in the second or third round, which was earlier than the most of the field would have probably done it. So you are presumably trying to win right now. I have seen some really big numbers lately from your team, so I don't want to play you. But I think if I had to say which team do I want to take over, the fact that you're going to lose LeBron was a pretty big ding for me because he's one of your best 5 players, which is crazy to say that he isn't like your best guy. But you have Jokic and Jaylen Brown. So, anyways, good team, a dangerous team. Could certainly beat anybody in the Coastal, probably anybody in mid-majors, period, any given week. But I do feel like there's a little bit of a problem with how old you are, especially knowing that LeBron is in that group, and CJ McCollum could just fall over and break a hip. He's so old too. So I feel like you have some dudes that are probably going to be going out, and you're going to get nothing for them. That's my fear. Anyway, we're into the top 4. I'll try to speed this up. William and Mary has Luka. Great place to start. Dame is not playing this year, but next year I still expect him to be a pretty legitimate contributor. I don't know about 50 points a game, but I would be surprised if Dame was not a 40 point per game scorer next year, because I bet the usage is just going to be high. Jimmy, Paolo, Bam. When you're talking, if Dame is healthy, Luka, Dame, Jimmy, Paolo, Bam. That's nice. Derek White and Jaquez Jr., Vucevic and Barrett. I mean, that starting 9 is good. 422.09 points is the second highest total in our conference, and it's not even close. The third place is way below that. It's an older team, 29.2 average age, but the games played are actually pretty strong. So we're seeing injuries this year for Banchero, and Butler's always a little bit hurt. It's funny that Dame's actually out the whole year, and Luka is actually banged up a little bit too. So maybe belay that about the games played. The numbers say that it's okay, but in reality, I think that this is a team that's going to miss some games on a pretty regular basis. Oh, you know what? Mark Williams is definitely the best 10th man. I misspoke earlier when I talked about DeMar. Mark Williams as your 10th guy is fabulous. I really like the team. The efficiency's been bad. If the efficiency had been good, I think we would see significantly better than an 8-5 record. But they're 5-2 in the conference, so they're still right there in contention to try to win this whole thing if they want to make a push. Number 3 is Hampton, and they have the best record in the conference, 14-1, the highest national rank. So you could kind of get a little upset with me if you're Sam Wow, probably. How are they not number 1, right? I look at the team, and I really like the top 5. Jamal, Reeves, Flagg, Barnes, and Towns. Even Kobe White, Nick Claxton, Aaron Gordon. I even have a soft spot for Davion Mitchell. I feel like he needs to play more. I like this starting 9. The point total adds up to roughly 400. He has the 28th best max in the entire country, including mid-majors and power conference teams. So he's generating lots of points. The efficiency has not been good at all, but the team is relatively young, so that's just kind of spitballing everything. The bench isn't particularly deep, and I like this roster, but I just think I like the next roster a little bit better, both of the next 2 rosters. I have comments written in for the next 2, so I'll just read those. But yeah, heck of a story. 14-1 is Hampton. I do not consider them the favorite to win the conference, though, which is why I have the next 2 teams above them. So drum roll please, it's either the Stonehill Skyhawks, which is the commissioner, or myself. I wonder, did I put myself at number 1? You'd have to be really vain to do that. Number 2, the Stonehill Skyhawks. So, commissioner is ranked number 2, according to me, and according to the committee. Their team is really young, average age 23.8. They play a lot of games, they play a lot of minutes, and they're scoring a lot more this season than they were last season, which is a very big positive sign of growth. The recap I had written down: the commissioner's team came out of the committee ranking as number 2, and I agree. A frightening thought for the Coastal, as this team's starting 9 is average age of 23.8. The emergence of Josh Giddey has been the biggest catalyst, but Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George, and Mike Porter Jr. have all been huge hits, and it feels obvious to say that Daniels, Kamara, Trey Jones, and Risa Shea have more to unlock as they get older. There's a lot of reason for future optimism, but also reason to think that the Skyhawks can contend for the CAA title immediately. If history is an indicator, Vostedler doesn't really trade, so can he stay near the top if all he does is add a rookie in the back half of the first round each year? I'm not sure. That's the big question for me. Having played with him before, not a big trading guy, just doesn't have the time, frankly. I think that's what it is. Maybe it's also just that he doesn't love to trade. I just know him, and I know that that's kind of how he rolls. So if you're adding a back half rookie, maybe if you're a hell of a scout or you get lucky, maybe your team can improve significantly. But otherwise, he's pretty much just going to be counting on these guys to develop and get better. So we'll see how quickly it goes past this level, but he's already at a great level. 51st in max, 31st in points, 29th in efficiency, all good numbers, especially for a mid-major. So I really like what I'm seeing here. I think the team is impressive, and there are weeks where I look at my old team and I see what he's putting up with the young guys, and I'm like, why didn't I just draft young guys? Nonetheless, the committee and I agreed that my team is number 1 for now. Again, I know it's, hey, my power rankings, I can do what I want. I do have the highest point total when you look at the average points for my starting 9. I am the 21st highest scoring team in the entire nation, so that includes the power conference teams. That is on the back of the 8th efficiency, not so much on the max points. I'm only 64th in max points, so I have been hitting good picks. The starting lineup is Maxey, Mitchell, Kawhi, Şengün, and Sabonis. I think when you look at the top 5 guys and their point averages, that stacks up quite favorably, even with the Ivy. There's only a few teams in the Ivy with a better starting 5 than that. And when you consider that only one of them is over 30, I think I've done a pretty good job to put together that starting 5. With Drew, Brandon Ingram, who is enjoying a really nice season in Toronto, Joel Embiid, Paul George, Jakob Poeltl, Dennis Schroeder, Chris Middleton on the bench. I have a pretty old team when you think about some of the older outliers like Kawhi, Paul George, Drew, but I have a couple young guys mixed in at my most important guys, Maxey, Şengün. I guess those are really the only 2 really young guys, but they're 2 pretty nice young guys. So my write-up: a supreme display of sheer basketball brilliance, Stony Brook's premium assortment of the Galaxy's most magnificent athletes have flawlessly coalesced into an unstoppable force from which such total and absolute domination is displayed each week that the basketball gods simply weep with joy. Settling for nothing short of the complete annihilation of any challenger, the Seawolves' uniquely terrifying blend of canine ferocity and aquatic grace make it a uniquely terrifying opponent for all those unfortunate enough to cross their path. Still not a lock for March Madness, though. And I believe that. Not a lock for March Madness. Obviously, that's a joke write-up, but I don't know that any team in the Coastal should feel confident that they will make the tournament. We're going to cannibalize a little bit and beat each other. So I would say I probably have the best odds as of today, with Vostedler right behind me and Hampton right behind him. One of the 3 of us probably will make it, is my prediction, but I think it's too early for any of us to feel confident. I'm number 28 in the country. Vostedler is 41. Hampton is 18. So I don't know if any How many mid-major teams are going to actually make the tournament? It's a great question. I'm going to put it at, other than automatic bids for winning the conference, I would assume no more than like 3 or 4 at-large teams are going to actually finish up there high enough to be just automatic qualifiers without winning their conference. So, but we'll see. That's the goal, is for Coastal to send as many teams as possible. We're a tight-knit group until these power rankings come out, and then I'll probably be a villain. But it is what it is. I have the best team for now, and I'm not even winning in the conference. So obviously, that's a matter of opinion. But that's what the committee thinks, and I did not pay them to put me number one. So I think that's all we got. This is a very long video. I had fun with it just because it was Coastal. Big 12 is next. We had like 3 or 4 people vote for the Big 12 in the comments on the YouTube video from last week. I will do Big 12 next, and then after that, it's up for grabs. Just go to the comments and say that you want to do your conference next. Just tell me what it is, and that's what we'll do. So Big 12 next time. Frankly, it's looking kind of like I can only do one of these a week. It does take a while to go through and really think about all these things, but I'm doing what I can. So hopefully you're enjoying the content, and I guess we'll see you on the next one.